All right, guys, welcome to First and Goal. I'm your host, Flavo Ariana, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. All right, guys, so it's been a minute since I last recorded, but if anybody has missed out what happened yesterday on, this past Sunday, major news has happened, even Saturday too. The Jets ended up winning their first game of the year. Snapping a 13-game losing streak. They're now 1-13. That's one of the biggest headlines. I'm going to kick it off with there. Talk about the Giants. The Giants and Browns, they face each other on Sunday Night Football. We got a new winner in the AFC East. And one of the greatest head coaches of all time is not going to be making the playoffs. Until then, all right, guys, so we're going to kick it off. It was, I believe it was week 13, if I'm not mistaken. Week 14. Week 14, right? Let me see if I get this. Is it week 14? No, week 15. I'm so sorry. Week 15. All right, so kicking off with the first topic. The Jets. The Jets go to California, LA, to go face the LA Rams. All right? Huge underdog. Huge. Going against Jared Goff, Aaron Donald, and Cooper Kupp, and the LA Rams against Sam Darnold and Adam Gase's New York Jets. I'm going to say Adam Gase and New York Jets is because they're an immoral franchise. They're contaminated by Adam Gase. But surprisingly, the Jets ended up pulling off the upset. They ended up beating the Rams, causing a huge uproar. I mean, Aaron Donald was pissed. I mean, he took off his helmet, with aggression, and he wanted to slam that thing on the floor. And I don't blame him. I mean, losing to a winless team and they're in contention of trying to make the playoffs, man. So I mean, there's a lot to talk about with that, just because a lot of people are saying the Jets can't get tanking right. And you know what? I'm gonna be one of those people that says it. That look, I was rooting for the Jets. I was rooting for the Jets to win. Why? Because one, you don't want in football to have a team that does not win. You already had it with two teams. The Lions, it was the year before Matthew Stafford got drafted. That's when they ended up getting the number 1 overall pick. And it was the year before Baker Mayfield got drafted. They were 0-16 as well too. So you already had two teams that were already 0-16. The more recent team was the Cleveland Browns. But I was rooting for the Jets to win for a number of reasons. Because of that reason, you don't want to have an NFL team that goes winless. And then two, like I told you guys in previous videos, I have my father, big Jets fan, my uncle, big Jets fan, and my best friend, big Jets fan. All right, so I root for them in support of them, and also because they're a New York team, and I really don't have anything against them, even though I'm a Giants fan. But man, for the Jets to win, I mean, Frank Gore, this is when you talk about veteran leadership. I mean, he knows what he needs to do. It was just a simple curl route right up the middle. Sam Darnold, it was more of a check down route. Sam Darnold sees Frank Gore. He's 5 yards, deep. Just throws him a little check down, and as he's about to get tackled, the smart thing to do was he backpedaled and he was going forward, right, getting closer towards the first yard line, and he got it. It was game over. 3 kneel downs. I mean, Sean McVay ended up using his timeouts very early. Same thing as Adam Gase, but for once the Jets ended up winning. But here comes the controversy. The controversy is that a lot of people were saying that the Jets can't get tanking right. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, those players over there that are in the New York Jets locker room, they're not worried about if Trevor Lawerence is going to be coming to the New York Jets. Because you know what? The New York Jets have not been able to prove that they can develop any talent, all right? And I've been saying this for the longest, that the Jets need to get receivers. They need to get receivers, all right? Sam Darnold, who has he been able to throw to his entire career? Robbie Anderson? Robbie Anderson is at best, your number 2 wide receiver, all right? On a really good team, he's your number 3 wide receiver, all right? And now he's in Carolina. And what difference is he making in Carolina? You tell me. Nothing at all. All right. So right now, I think who's he throwing to right now? Denzel Mims, which I'm actually a fan of. I mean, he's looking like a good solid number 2. Keyword, solid number 2. You have, what else is his name? Bernard Perriman. Bernard Perriman is at best your number 3 wide receiver. So they don't really have a true number 1 wide receiver. I mean, they're having as best, average to below average receivers. And how can you really work with that? I mean, you put Sam Darnold, his offense, his skill set, and somebody like where Justin Herbert is at, when you have a Mike Williams, a Keenan Allen, you got a Hunter Henry. I mean, you're gonna excel. You're really gonna excel. But people are saying that they should have lost. They're not gonna win. They're not gonna be able to acquire Trevor Lawerence through through the NFL draft, because many project that he is gonna be the number 1 overall pick. Well, who knows if Trevor Lawerence is gonna come out of college and say, "Hey, I'm gonna enter through the NFL draft." Who knows? He could just be like, "I'm gonna go into my senior year and go to the draft next year." Then what? Look, in all honesty, I don't really believe in tanking. I think tanking is such a bad method. I think the NFL has to change that up. I would say the 5 teams with the worst records, going through it like a lottery. I think that's the best solution in my opinion, because you know what, you're gonna have so many people trying to tank. What was it, like a couple years? I think it was like last year or the year before. It was like tank for Tua. Look what Tua Tagovailoa is doing right now for the Dolphins. Right, he's doing okay, but even the Dolphins at one point were considering that, like, hey, we're gonna consider this as a trial, to see how you're doing, because if not, then we'll probably tank and get Trevor Lawerence. All right, Peyton Manning. I mean, you got like the exceptions like a Peyton Manning, a John Elway, and stuff like that. But do I see Trevor Lawerence in that category? No. But do I have confidence in the Jets developing a good, promising quarterback? No. I mean, you need pieces around you. You definitely need pieces around you. So the Jets ended up winning. I was very happy about that. What's going to happen as for Trevor Lawerence? Well, right now, the Jaguars are ahead. They have the tiebreaker as we're getting the number 1 overall draft pick as we speak. There is only 2 more weeks left. So we have to see. Maybe the Jaguars win a game and the Jets lose it out. Who knows? But if it turns out that the Jets get the number 2 overall pick, what I'm doing if I'm the Jets, I'm trading back. I'm trading back up, definitely within the top 10 so I could get multiple draft picks. But I'm trading back. I'm going to try to acquire a wide receiver. You got Andrew, what's his name? Becton, if I'm not mistaken. Becton, I think, guard from this past year's draft. You draft a wide receiver. Last year's draft was full of wide receivers. They could have drafted a CeeDee Lamb. They could have drafted a Jerry Jeudy. They could have drafted a Justin Jefferson. They could have drafted Henry Ruggs. Could have drafted Jalen Reagor. But you went with a guard, all right, offensive line, and it's kind of like you're not helping out Sam Darnold at all. I mean, you're helping him out with protection, but who's he going to be able to throw to? You're going to have him throw to, again, 38-year-old Frank Gore? Come on, like, how's that helping him out? So that's what ended up happening. Rams, I mean, they put themselves in a predicament right now. I think right now, I'm going to check on my phone real quick. I believe I have the standings wrong, but I think the Rams are still outside the playoffs if the season was to end. I mean, the season's not ending right now. Conference. No, they'll still be in it. It would be Green Bay with the top seed, New Orleans and Seattle, and then after that, the NFC East leader, which would be Washington, and then the Rams, then Tampa, and Arizona. But still, it was a costly loss. The NFC West is really tight as we're going forward with it. But yeah, so tough loss for the Rams. Great win by the Jets. I don't know if the Jet fans want the Jets to keep on winning because it's going to ruin their chances. But I like Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold is a really good quarterback. I think Justin doesn't have the weapons around him. You give him some weapons, you're going to see his true repertoire, and he's going to be able to excel. I mean, there's a reason why scouts said that he has the highest flooring and he has a good ceiling. But I think the Jets, they got to get rid of Adam Gase. They definitely need to get rid of Adam Gase. Adam Gase needs to be gone. I would have just fired him a long time ago at this rate. But Adam Gase needs to be gone. He is bad for the culture of the Jets. He is a disease. He is a virus. All right, he is worse than COVID-19. You guys need to get him the hell out of, the New York Jets facility, because he's contaminating everything that he's around. I mean, get him out of there. This guy should not be a head coach, and he's only contaminating Sam Darnold's career. He's contaminating everybody else's career in the New York Jets locker room. So get him out of there. As for the next topic, it was a big game. It was a game between the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants. Giants needed to win that game because why? Washington lost, Dallas lost, Philly lost. Crazy, right? Everyone loses in the NFC East. Giants have the ability to reclaim first place and get a huge win. No Daniel Jones, because the Giants thought that he was good enough to go after him pulling his hamstring, 2 weeks ago. No Daniel Jones, Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy was able to get that big upset over the Seattle Seahawks a couple weeks ago, and he was not lucky this time. Baker Mayfield looked phenomenal. This guy was just throwing darts. I mean, look, I honestly got to say that the Cleveland Browns look hella good right now ever since the injury of Odell Beckham Jr. I think Cleveland in the future, whether it's next year or whatever, they got to find a way to getting rid of trading Odell, because you see that Baker doesn't have to fully rely on Odell. He could throw it to Jarvis. He could throw it to Austin Hooper, then Njoku. He could have the ball run to Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. I mean, the offense is flowing. Having to rely on that one target, I mean, you kind of handicapping yourself. But yeah, Cleveland looked great last night. Baker Mayfield was phenomenal. Colt McCoy, he looked like a backup quarterback. But I gotta say, Joe Judge, you got to take the points. You got to take the points. Why are you always going, you're going at 4th and 1 in your own 20-yard line? Kick the field goal. Get the points. All right. You only ended up scoring, I believe, what was it, 3 points if I'm not mistaken? Or 6 points. I believe it was 3. What was it? Yeah, you only ended up scoring 6 points. You lost 20-6. And honestly, I get it when it comes down to being gutsy, but it was the first quarter, it was the second quarter. You're going on it 4th and 1. Just kick the points. I mean, it sucks. That's when you're gonna need Saquon Barkley to run through those tackles and then push, because he has those monstrous thick thighs, and he's able to push himself, getting to the 1st-yard line. And Wayne Gallman is no Saquon Barkley, but man, the coaching decisions of Joe Judge really kind of screwed it over. And I get it. You have Colt McCoy, backup quarterback. He showed that he was able to beat the Seattle Seahawks. Follow that same method. You could have been able to score yourself an extra 12 more points to at least make it competitive, but you didn't. Right now, the Giants, they're gonna face Baltimore next. Baltimore. Good luck with that, because you know what? It looks like the Giants season, it might be done. It might be done because they're going to go into Baltimore, or I believe Baltimore comes to them. Lamar Jackson is going to need that win. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are going to be able to beat the New York Giants. I can't see the whole NFC East losing again. It'll be very remarkable if they do, but it looks like the Giants ruined a great opportunity. And after Baltimore, then it's Dallas. And then that should be a 50-50 game. I don't know if Daniel Jones will be able to make it. If he doesn't be able to make it, then it leans more heavily towards Dallas. But Dallas is very immoral. They can't get anything right over there ever since losing Dak Prescott. So who knows with that. But it looks like the Giants season is in danger. It looks like they might not be able to make the playoffs yet again. They had a chance, but it looks like their sprinkle of magic is coming towards an end. As for the Browns for the first time in 13 years, the Browns ended up winning 10 games. 10 games. The last time they did that was in 2007. And yeah, the Cleveland Browns looks like they're on their way. They're on their way, most likely making the playoffs. Look at the whole year difference. I mean, it's a very similar roster, minus Austin Hooper and a couple of other players. But you see the transition, the difference, the culture difference with Kevin Stefanski at the helm as opposed to Freddie Kitchens. You have them running the football. Baker Mayfield is making less mistakes. All right. You know, I believe he has over 20 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. I mean, that's better than a 2-to-1 right there. Touchdown to interception ratio. I love how the Cleveland Browns are looking right now. They have 2 studs right there in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is a thumper. You got Kareem Hunt who could pass catch and he could run the football. I mean, they're on pace to getting 1,000 yards each, which is rare. So I love the direction where the Cleveland Browns are going to. They can make hella noise in the postseason. Do they have a chance to, upsetting a few teams? Yeah. I mean, I can see them upsetting the Pittsburgh Steelers if they run into them. Or if they run into maybe the Indianapolis Colts. Do they have a chance of upsetting, like the Bills and the Chiefs? I don't know. I mean, the Bills been looking really good. And I'll get to the Bills in just a second. But the Chiefs, I mean, they're the creme de la creme. They are the creme de la creme of the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is the best player. All right, he might be winning another MVP in his short stint in his NFL career. So I don't know about that, but I love the direction where the Cleveland Browns are going to. Next, you're gonna have lastly the Patriots. The Patriots. Wow, this is kind of crazy because the New England Patriots are officially eliminated. They are eliminated from postseason contention. This is the first time since 2008. 12 years since the last time they did not make the playoffs. I mean, it's pretty remarkable to think that the Patriots are not making the playoffs. I mean, first season that Tom Brady's not there, Cam Newton is behind center. Ooh, man, I don't know. I mean, is this going to take a tarnish on Bill Belichick's legacy? No. Only reason I'm going to say no is because he is the greatest NFL head coach of all time. There is no debate on that whatsoever. You can make a debate on plenty of other things, like who's the best running back, yada, 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 linebacker. But when it comes to coaches, Belichick's resume is impeccable right there. 6 Super Bowl wins, 2 as a defensive coordinator, so he has a total of 8 right there. I mean, he's coached the greats of Lawrence Taylor, Tom Brady, Richard Seymour, you name it. But this is no stain on his resume whatsoever. I mean, look what he was working with. I mean, he kind of did it to himself, but then again, there was also players that ended up saying that, we're not going to play because of COVID, and that's understandable. But since they're eliminated, now we have a new champ, a new crown, a new leader in the AFC East. All right? And that is Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Yes, they are officially now the new AFC East kings. They're the winner of the AFC East title, and they're going to be going to the playoffs. I think the way that they've been playing, I mean, you're giving Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. I mean, you saw that big transition right there. First year with the Bills, Stephon Diggs looks phenomenal. He's their number 1. Cole Beasley's their number 2. You have Devin Singletary, in the backfield along with Zachary Moss. I mean, I like the Buffalo Bills. I mean, and their defense led by Jordan Poyer. I mean, come on, man. The Bills look great. I think they're the second best team in the AFC, right behind the Kansas City Chiefs. After that, I got Pittsburgh and Cleveland. But wow, the Bills are in the playoffs. The Bills are in the playoffs. And wow, Josh Allen, he's a bad boy. I mean, he could run it. He can throw it. This guy could throw it 80 yards, no problem. He's a problem right there. He is a problem to have. And you know what? His arm negates any cold weather because of the fact that he could just fling that football. I don't know. I mean, the only team I can see knocking off the Bills is the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Bills are going to, upset the well, not really upset, but I think the Bills are going to knock off the Steelers. They're going to knock off the Titans, if the Titans make the playoffs. I love the direction where the Bills are going. McDermott, I think his name is Sean McDermott, if I'm not mistaken. Head coach, phenomenal. This guy, in the short time that he was there, he transitioned that whole culture. Josh Allen, you give him a number 1 piece, and you see what he's doing. I wouldn't be surprised by next year we're going to be talking about Josh Allen winning an MVP award, because this guy has been doing phenomenal work. All right, guys. Well, look, that covers it for Week 15. I'm your host, Slava Rihanna. Look, the Jets did not screw things up. All right. I don't agree with anybody trying to go winless on purpose. All right. They need to fire Adam Gase. Trevor Lawerence, if you go to the Jaguars, kudos to you. If you go to the Jets, kudos to you. But you know what? No team should really be tanking for one individual player. The Giants really screwed up. Had an excellent opportunity of them, regaining the lead when it comes to the NFC East. The Browns, I mean, who would have thought the Browns were going to win? We're going to get at least 10 wins as of right now. They had the ability of getting 12, which is incredible. But, wow, Baker Mayfield has been picking it up ever since Odell got injured. And lastly, the Bills win the AFC East, and the Patriots are unfortunately going to be missing the playoffs for the very first time since 2008, which ironically was the last time that Tom Brady didn't play. Look, Tom Brady ended up tearing his ACL because Bernard Pollard ended up tackling him below the knee, and that was a complete year that Tom Brady didn't play. And then fast forward 12 years, Tom Brady doesn't play a year with the Patriots, and they don't make the playoffs. That should be saying something. Until then, guys, I'll talk to you guys at a different date. See you guys. Peace.